Welcome to Scream Alive, your channel for horror stories. Today's story is titled A Blizzard in Colorado. 15 years ago, when I was 8 and my older brother, Josh, was 11, my family's vacation home in Colorado was the backdrop for a memory that has stayed with me. My parents, who are avid skiers, bought the place before I was even born, so it had always been a part of my life. Even though the house was about 40 years old and showing its age, it was a cherished place, a second home full of memories. My dad spent countless hours on upkeep, but it was clear the house was nearing the end of its life. He often talked about tearing it down and building a new one, a conversation I stayed out of, not wanting to get involved in the adult decisions. The property was perfect for kids. A huge open field was surrounded by thick woods in every direction. Down a dead-end road, a few more large properties were almost as big as ours. It was a perfect setting for games of hide-and-seek and epic snowball fights. On this particular day, a massive blizzard had blanketed everything in a thick layer of snow. It was a wonderland for my brother and me, and we couldn't wait to get outside and play. We were geared up in our snow clothes and ready for a game we had invented ourselves, a snowball flight. It had its own little set of custom rules. We would each build a fort, and then we'd create a single, massive snowball the jewel that we had to steal from the other person's base and bring back to our own. We had to tell each other where our forts were, but the rest was up to us. Josh chose to build his base on the nearest neighboring property. It was a sprawling lot that was almost always empty. 9 times out of 10, we were the only ones there. We'd build up little walls of snow and hide our jewel behind them. To get to each other's bases, we could either cut through the dense woods or take the winding road that went downhill. Once Josh ran down the road and disappeared from sight, I was supposed to wait for him to blow a whistle to signal the start of the game. I waited and waited. 5 minutes passed, then 8, then 10. By this point, I was getting impatient. I knew he had had enough time to build his fort. I figured I must have just been too far away to hear the whistle, so I decided to plot my route. Should I go through the spooky woods or stick to the road? As an 8-year-old in the middle of a blizzard, the woods felt far too scary, so I opted for the road, trudging through the unplowed snow. The thick layers of snow gear my mom made me wear kept me warm as flakes blew into my face. As I neared the neighboring driveway, I looked through the bare trees and brush, but I couldn't see Josh anywhere. I decided to cut through the trees to sneak into the property, but he was nowhere in sight. I could see the snow walls of his fort, so I cautiously approached to grab the jewel. Before I could, I heard a woman's voice yelling, "Excuse me, are you looking for your brother?" I spun around to see an older woman standing at the front door of the neighbor's house. I called back that we were playing a game. She responded, "Your brother isn't here," which confused me greatly. I began walking toward the house's front steps. As I got closer, her face became clearer. To my young mind, she looked ancient, but the smile she was giving me was eerily unnatural. As I approached the house, I noticed a second, older set of footprints leading to the front door. They had to be Josh's, which confused me even more. Then, I saw movement in an upstairs window. It was a person looking out at me. For a second, I thought it was Josh, but their face was half covered by a black beanie. The bottom of their face was hidden behind the windowsill. The woman at the door was still smiling, a creepy, unsettling grin. That's when I felt my heart drop into my stomach. She waved me inside, motioning for me to come in and get out of the cold. I stopped dead in my tracks. I felt a surge of fear and screamed, "Josh!" As loud as I could. There was no response. The woman's smile instantly vanished, a look of surprise crossing her face. That's when I noticed the other set of footprints, the ones I had assumed were Josh's. They were doubled over, a strange pattern that showed they had turned around and headed back toward the woods. Then I heard heavy footsteps from inside the house, sounding like they were coming from upstairs. I didn't wait to find out who or what was coming down the stairs. I turned and ran. The woman screamed something at me or someone inside the house, but I couldn't understand it. I glanced back once more and saw that the face in the upstairs window was gone. I ran off the property and back onto the road, following my own footsteps as I ran through the deep snow. I started to hear my dad's familiar whistle from up the hill, the one he used to call us home for dinner. When I made it back to our driveway, my dad and Josh were already there, on their way to get me. Before I could even begin to explain what had just happened, Josh was already telling me that people in the neighbor's house had told him to come inside. I told him the exact same thing had happened to me. Without hesitation, my dad went down to the house, holding some kind of weapon. My mom and I waited in the home. He came back after what felt like a long time and said the front door was locked and no one was answering. He then went to another neighbor's house, who knew the owners of the property, and called them. This is the part that still gives me chills. The owners of that house were not there that weekend. Nobody was supposed to be in the house. The police were called, and my brother and I had to speak to an officer on the scene to describe the woman. After that, we were no longer involved. According to my dad, the back door was unlocked, and the house was investigated, but nothing was found. For this reason, my parents started taking home any extra valuable things from our vacation home in fear of a break-in while we were gone. After that terrifying day, we steered clear of playing on that property, scarred by the memory. I'm so thankful that we never went into that house. The thought of what could have happened to my brother and me is something I'll never be able to shake.